I mean, I pray you know that pain and that hurt.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby! Don't you put that on us!
Hi everyone, welcome to Priority Holder, and today we're playing Sultai Thoracle Tainted Pact combo in the Timeless format. Now, Timeless is a new format in Arena that's sort of like Arena Legacy or Arena Vintage. Everything's legal except for like a small restricted list. And what we're trying to do here is we have like a mid-range shell that's trying to pull off a 2-card combo. So the win condition is Thassa's Oracle. When it enters the battlefield, we get to look at the top X or X our devotion of blue and put one on top. The condition though is that if X is greater than or equal number of cards in our library, we just straight up win the game. And so what we have is an efficient way to empty our library with Tainted Pact. This lets us check the top card of our library one by one and eventually put one into our hand. But the condition is that as long as we can keep checking as long as we don't hit 2 cards of the same name. So that's why you could see the sort of pseudo singleton nature of this deck. That once we have one Tainted Pact, one Thassa's Oracle, we're guaranteed to not have any repeats, and Tainted Pact can clear our library with the Thassa's Oracle trigger on the stack and go for the win. So that is the game plan. We're not all in on the combo, just sort of due to its nature. Like if you have a lot of copies of each, that throws off Tainted Pact's ability to empty your library. So we sort of like backdoor our way into the combo, playing a mid-range plan, dropping threats like Oko, Thief of Crowns, Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, Orcish Bowmasters, the One Ring, things of that nature. So the supporting shell is like hand disruption, removal, counter spells, and basically stalling until we can assemble the game plan. So we have a few tutors in there to help it, but we're not like laser focused on the combo. But anyway, let's jump to some games. Alright, this looks like a really fine hand. Have all of our colors of mana and some early interaction. See where this takes us. Alright, blue-white land from the opponent. We're going to go ahead and start with the Abundant Harvest, just pick up a non-land right now. And there's a Thassa's Oracle. Well, that's half our combo already. Now, this is my very first ever game of Timeless right here. I did a little gold fishing before I jumped in, but this deck is built on basically my expectations for the metagame. Uro, that is real nice. Now, seeing a Lorien Revealed cycle plus another Hallowed Fountain really makes me think this is blue-white control. And so, my strategy for this game is going to be play as many threats as possible to just burn through their interaction and then slam the combo at that point. I'm going to go ahead and grab the One Ring here. We do need lands, but I'm going to sort of hope that Uro gets us there, because the One Ring is just, they can't let that resolve. That's just too powerful for us. Alright, there's another Lorien Revealed. Glacial Fort, Teferi Time Raveler. Now of course, Teferi Time Ravelers can be everywhere in this format because it's incredibly powerful and unnerfed in this one. Unfortunate also shuts down our combo because we need to respond with Tainted Pact at instant speed to Thassa's Oracle's trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and use Orcish Bowmasters to take down Teferi and hold off on Uro for now because Teferi is just a huge problem for us. So we just want to clear out as many as we can. Alright, swords on our Bowmasters. We've already seen multiple Lorien Revealeds. We know they're going to be wanting to draw a card, so Bowmasters is a big threat to them. Alright, and they're just holding up mana. Oko. So this is a pretty good draw right here against control because we just have a ton of threats. So I'm going to start attacking the battle just to try and create another threat eventually. I'm going to go ahead and slam Uro. Just very painful mana base at the moment. Alright, Archmage's Charm. Not even countering it because it has recursion, so they're just going to draw cards. We gain 3, draw a card, and we do get a land into play. So that's nice. The land battle is important because the more often we can double spell, the more we can tax their resources and maybe slip something past their defenses. Alright, Shocking on Hallowed Fountain. Another land is nice. Unfortunately, it's tapped. So we're going to keep attacking the battle. Like I said, trying to unlock another threat if possible. And the opponent has Snapcaster Mage. And they're going to flashback Archmage's Charm. They could gain control of our token, potentially, or maybe they're just going for the card draw. Unfortunately, due to the nature of Snapcaster Mage, they can actually just hold on to Archmage's Charm and just sort of counter whatever our next play is. So I'm going to play one that's hopefully will help us, but seems not that threatening. So I'm going to play Huntmaster's Redemption. This is mostly in there for the second mode, to sacrifice a creature and grab a Thassa's Oracle. But it's also 3 mana 3/3 with some, you know, some upsides. And they are at 14 life. Mystic Sanctuary is super strong, especially with Lorien revealed. And then another Time Raveler is going to snipe our 3/3 with its minus. And so it is worth noting that this deck will have to be able to fight Teferi Time Raveler because it just undoes our whole strategy. I think about this for a moment because it would be nice to get a second Thassa's Oracle just in case they counter the first one. But at the same time, I do also want to kill that Teferi, so that was my rationale as to not sacrificing it, is to attack it and force them to do something. Maybe blow the swords to plowshares on it. Yeah, so that's one less swords to plowshares for like our Uro once we escape it. And the question is, do we slam Oko or we slam the One Ring? Can't do both, unfortunately, this turn. Gonna go with the One Ring, and they hit it with the counter spell. That's alright, so we'll see if we can resolve Oko later. Once again, just holding on to Thassa's Oracle, see if we can fish up a Tainted Pact at some point.
I'll protect you.
They're gonna plus Teferi. And play a land, pass, Assassin's Trophy. Could be useful. Now's the point where I just keep slamming threats, and the more they counter, the more that fuels like our Uro. So we're really close to being able to escape Uro. So it seems like a good time to slam Oko. And I'm absolutely shocked that it resolves here, because that just seems like a very problematic permanent for them to deal with. So, but yeah, Oko resolves and we get our first food token. We're gonna pass. Alright, opponent doesn't really plays at end of turn, so I'm uncertain as what's going on. I don't know if they have all lands in hand or... Alright, they shotgun their land. And they're gonna pass to us. Once again, Teferi locks us into playing at sorcery speed, so we can't like end a turn Assassin's Trophy. So we're gonna go ahead and create our first elk and attempt to attack Teferi with it. Now they knew this was coming. There's probably some sort of defense in mind. Alright, another swords. Once again, we're very happy to see them blowing swords onto like random tokens and stuff, because that's going to clear the way for Uro eventually. We're going to go ahead and cast the granted portion of Fae of Wishes. And what do we take here? Like, do we take the other half of the combo? Do we take a Tainted Pact? Do we go for like some more long game with like, you know, maybe Jace Wielder of Mysteries? Decide just to grab the Tainted Pact. Alright, opponent has Mystical Dispute for our Fae of Wishes. But we're attacking on multiple axes now, because we have Oko that's currently unchecked, and we can now escape Uro as well. And so like our threats are just mounting, and they only have 3 cards in hand. They need to find a way to deal with it. And we've already been burning through multiple swords to plowshares. So I'm going to lead with Uro right here. Once again, just trying to create a ton of threats for them to deal with. And yeah, we're just going to exile the whole graveyard right here. There are some graveyard shenanigans we can do in this deck, but yeah, we just want to get Uro in line, get the cards flowing, and either kill them with Uro and Elk tokens, or the combo itself. And decide now is a good time just to fire off Assassin's Trophy, because otherwise they'd be able to bounce Uro and undo our whole escape plan that we've done. So Teferi bites us. The opponent must have just really whiffed on their last few draws, like just gotten super flooded. Alright, so they fire off an instant speed Supreme Verdict. Not the worst, because we can get Uro back later. And not only that, but we can make a new Elk next turn. So, seeing what's going to happen next. And opponent packs in, like, they must just have nothing. And as we move into the next game, please ice the like button, comment, and subscribe. It supports the channel and helps you know what the people want. Thank you. Especially let me know if you like seeing timeless content. You know, I mostly make Explorer and Historic Brawl videos, so I'm considering branching out into this as well because it's been fun thus far. I mean, what a way to get introduced to the format with that first game. So we're gonna mulligan here and put back the tutor and turn 1 Monastery Swift Spear. Get smacked. Decide to. Now, Thoughtseizing would have been extremely costly right there. Would have been fetch, grab a swamp or a shockland, and then dinged to by the Thoughtseize. Against mono red, that's just a losing proposition. So, opponent dings us at play with fire, hits light up the stage. Never good, and yeah, they kept the lightning bolt on top. So we're gonna get dinged for 3 right here. Gonna go and crack the fetch, and we are just under assault. It doesn't help that our mana base is extremely painful due to like the singleton, mostly singleton nature of our deck. Like a lot of pain lands, shock lands, just to keep up the singleton nature and have everything be untapped. Bowmasters does not look great against Swift Spear. If they had absolutely nothing to cast, then maybe like Bowmasters plus the token could block it, but obviously they have like infinite burn, so. Alright, opponent hits it with the lightning strike, then follows up with lightning bolt. We're gonna just use Bowmasters to soak up some damage here. Just making sure I can't like ping it and then block with both to kill it. Fortunately, it has that 1 extra point of toughness, so it's just gonna be a chump for this turn, but we're already at 7. And we haven't even really gotten to do anything and like just have all shock lands, and it's just looking grim. I decided to keep that land on top because it's an untapped painless source for Assassin's Trophy. But as you see, they dropped the 3rd mountain, so even if we trophy the Swift Spear, that's gonna give them the next mountain to activate Den of the Bugbear, so we're just in a really rough spot right here. Alright, so opponent has another lightning strike. This is gonna be the exact kind of deck that our deck is gonna struggle against. Just dedicated burn decks. We would have to have like just the turn 4 combo on lock to beat them. And we don't have it that consistently because we just don't have that many copies of the combo pieces. So we're gonna play Huntmaster's Redemption right here and play a tap land. And just bracing for impact because Den of the Bugbear can attack us. The opponent just, you know, their deck's like all burn spells. I think burn is going to be a pretty viable archetype in this format. And yeah, we get slapped around and we fall to burn. So we move on to the next game. And this is a really great hand. Combination of Stern Scolding and Duress is going to allow us just to like really try and execute our game plan no matter what they're doing. So we're going to lead with Bloodstained Mire to sort of be able to fetch a tap land or get something else if needed. Now I cracked the fetch here. The opponent's trying to cast Serrated Scorpion. I was going to maybe counter it, but decide we should probably save that, and I'm going to get the Triome into play just to get our colors sorted out. So we're going to hit them with Duress right here and see what we're working against. And it's a sacrifice deck. So we take their Witch's Oven, which feels pretty great, and they have a Cauldron Familiars, Priest of the Forgotten Gods, Phyrexian Tower, just an exciting, cool strategy that's really juiced up in this format with like Phyrexian Towers. Alright, so Stern Scolding. Honestly, with Tower in play, like knowing that they could sack Scorpion and play like Blood Artist or Priest of the Forgotten Gods, maybe should have held it up, but the opponent just plays a Witch's Oven afterwards, which it's like a Thoughtseize bug, you know. We take the Witch's Oven and they draw one right after, so. Now this is unfortunate. We did not draw a land. We have the combo in hand. Like we could turn for it potentially, so it's definitely going to be, you know, a Demonic Tour for a land right here, which you're not happy to do, but you have to do sometimes. So if we can rip an untapped source, we have the win next turn. The opponent can't shell out that much damage in this strategy in that short of time. But it is mounting up though with Blood Artist. That's going to cause every single death trigger to have deal an extra damage. Unearth is painful. we wanted a land. So now it's like, do we play Narset and like fish for card draw, and then also minusing her, maybe take some attacks off our back, but decide just to play Oko. Maybe they'll attack into it and it'll give us some life. Otherwise, we can crack the food potentially and get some life. So that was my rationale. It's a tough call whether Oko or Narset was better there, but I think my gut was telling me Oko with the potential life gain. So Cauldron Familiar is doing its little dance. Another Cauldron Familiar. We're really glad they don't have the second oven, because we would have just been toast right now with all these familiars and blood artists. So it doesn't look like it, but if you count up all the different triggers going on, like, we are like almost dead right here with what the opponent has going on. We missed the land again, but thankfully Invasion of Ixalan, it's sort of like a card that searches for Thassa's oracles or threats, but in this case we're going to use it to grab a land because we want to set up for the combo next turn. Now this is the pivotal moment here. How do we not die next turn? Because they have some attackers, they have tons of chip damage. Do we make a 3/3? Do we just crack the food up to 13? After thinking about it a while, I realized that exchanging our food token for their blood artist saves us the most life, because every single death trigger gets boosted by blood artist. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here, is exchange blood artist and the food token. Now opponent sacrifices it, and it gives us a wonderful opportunity right here, because now before the trigger resolves, we can crack the food. So we got the best of both worlds. We got the life, and we got rid of the blood artist. So that went about as perfect as we could hope. Except the opponent draws another blood artist, and so now I'm sweating it out. Like, we just have to survive until next turn, and we win.
This is my cue to exit.
And thankfully, Oko soaks up 1 point of damage right there. So Priest of Forgotten Gods is going to ding us a little bit more. Blood Artist, you could see how it all stacks up right here. Like, they're just dinging us. We're down to 7. And thank goodness that wasn't another threat. That was just a land. So another Priest. And so we're gonna go for it here. Now we can actually see the combo in action. So we're gonna play Thassa's Oracle. And important here, you notice that I toggled on full control. That is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, Arena will not let you respond to your own trigger right here. It'll just blow right past it. So full control, play Thassa's Oracle, Tainted Pact. Here we go. Now because we only play 2 of each, we know that the whole entire deck at this point is all singletons. So I'm moving to accelerated speed here just to like get through this process, but it is quite tedious. We have to, go one by one, card by card, pausing at each one to confirm whether we want it in our hand or not. But what we're doing is we're emptying our library. Now I was like not 100% confident here. I didn't do like all the math because the opponent can still chip in a bunch of damage right here. So going to that last card, you can just put it into your hand, but I just went ahead and declined it. Alright, so here comes Cauldron Familiar. So the opponent's going to do their little damage dance right here. They're trying to chip in as much as they can. And you could see, we would have totally died with another Blood Artist in play. Like, we would have been super dead. Instead, we lock up the win with the combo. So, feels really good getting that win against Mono Black Sacrifice. We jump to the next game, Field of the Dead. We keep this hand, really strong hand with Once Upon a Time, Tainted Pact, and then we draw Thassa's Oracle also. So here we go again with potential for a turn 4 combo kill. And a blue-white Shockland coming into play. Now it could be other things, but that's usually indicative of control. I mean, we're this format's the Wild West right now, so we got to see what we're facing. I'm holding up Once Upon a Time and Grisly Salvage right now. Now it's important that we cast Once Upon a Time first, because it's only free if we haven't cast anything yet. Alright, so only managed to grab a land, but that's actually useful because that can help set up our kill. I mean, I'm hoping to maybe that they burn a counter spell right here and then we can just go for it. But Grisly Salvage, we're gonna go ahead and grab a land. And opponent's playing great, they're not taking the bait on Once Upon a Time or Grisly Salvage, anything like that. Fatal Push. Yeah, I decided just to pass. So maybe should have ran out like Fae of Wishes just to try and get them to waste removal, or just to tap down a bit more. So opponent fetches in a Triome, and the Teferi Time Traveler dang it. Like, just... That's public enemy number 1 for this deck, because it shuts off instant speed play for us, and we have to be able to play at instant speed in order to do the combo. So now I'm looking at the sideboard because we have the Fae of Wishes. I'm trying to think, what gets us out of this? Because that's like the next logical thing is to play that. I decide, actually it's better to get the ring going right now that they have shields down. So we go ahead and play the 1 ring and pass, but we are looking in our sideboard for Fae of Wishes to see what we're going to do with that. So Teferi ticks up. An opponent plays another Triumph, and then it becomes all clear for right now. They have the fetches plus Triumphs make Leyline Binding into a supercharged, like basically 1 mana catch-all removal. It's just amazingly strong. So that is really tough because our 1 ring is gone. Like, that was like our threat right there, just to outcard them so severely. Now the opponent could have a counter here, like a Memory Lapse or something like that. So we're gonna go ahead and lead with the Thoughtseize. And opponent's hand is just stacked. We don't care about like the creature removals at all, but 2 more Leyline Bindings and a counter spell. And the question is what to take. So when I was editing this, I was actually really beating myself up for not taking counterspell. I end up taking Teferi Time Raveler because that, you know, I was basically tunnel visioned on that, shutting down our main combo. But actually what we could do is grab Jace from our sideboard, and that one works with Tainted Pact because it's a static ability. The problem with that is they have 2 copies of Leyline Binding. And so we would play, you know, if we have Jason play, we play the Pact. They just Leyline Binding Jace before it resolves, and we lose, you know, that way. So basically, in the end, it was like an impossible situation. So like I said, I take Teferi Time Raveler. I'm thinking Counterspell, or maybe 1 of the Leyline Bindings was a better choice. And so this is our sideboard right here, like a wish board. I go ahead and grab Jace, because it can at least draw a card, and it's going to force them to use their removal. But the opponent basically had, you know, they're a little bit mana screwed, but their hand was just stacked. Like, so many Leyline Bindings is going to make it real tough for us. This is where we wish we had one of those hands with like Oko and Uro, just to get them to blow all the removal. But even then, like, they actually could account for that also. So I try and, you know, maybe, I don't know. This is sort of desperation player here. Dark Ritualing out Jace plus Tainted Pact right here.
Are they yours or mine?
So I'm going to go ahead and plus Jace. Now, this might have been a mistake. I'm just trying to get full value, but they could, in response, Leyline Binding. We don't even get the opportunity to attempt to Pact right here. Gonna go ahead and shock this in because we could cycle Unearth afterwards. So gonna go ahead and fire off Tainted Pact, and yeah, the opponent has the counter spell. They don't even need to necessarily go for the Leyline Binding here. So it is, like I said, just a really tough situation. But we're gonna go ahead and play out Fae of Wishes, but they have plentiful answers for that also. So Leyline Binding is gonna grab Jace, and they have Swords or Supreme Verdict to take down Fae of Wishes. So we can't even keep recurring it and fishing through our sideboard yet. So they snatched that up right away because they know that we could keep getting stuff that way. And so here's Oko, but it's like too little too late. It would have been nice to start eating through their interaction with cards like Oko right now. So maybe I might have jumped the gun just going for it right there. I should have maybe waited till we had other threats to try and tax the removal. But Oko's not a problem here because of Leyline Binding. So Leyline Binding might actually be like one of the strongest cards in this format, if you could survive the burn decks long enough. But anyway, I think it's probably pretty strong. But the opponent has just played super well, and I also really like their deck. Like, I'm a huge fan of Field of the Dead. Play it in like every commander deck I have. Like, it is a card we could play in this deck to maybe have like just an extra threat. A tapped colorless source is tough for like trying to go off early with a combo, but it's an incredible late game card for these sort of control or mid-range matchups we fight. So now we're finally drawing some of our alternate threats, but it's just looking grim. Like, the opponent, I mean, they're not playing lands, so they just have all action right now. So we have Uro. We're gonna go ahead and put the fetch down there. We're gonna attempt to thin a minuscule amount with that fetch land. And that can also fuel Uro coming back into play. So we have plenty of cards. I actually probably should have left the Triome in the deck as a redraw. So I think that was a tiny mistake right there. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and escape Uro, just eating up our lands, leaving the other relevant cards. And this is at least something. It's not incredible because Teferi can just bounce it. Plus there's Supreme Verdict. We have a ton of lands. This is making me think that this deck needs a little bit more, maybe a little bit more card advantage, like some more consistent sources. Snapcaster Mage here is absolutely devastating. You could see me like wanting to Fatal Push it, but we can't because Teferi's locking us out. So Swords is going to eat up Uro, and then this is like a pretty filthy combo that these decks can do is that Teferi can bounce Snapcaster, and then they get access to it again. And especially like once they plus Teferi and they can start, you know, Snapcaster, Lorien revealed, it gets pretty rough. Now I'm moving to accelerated speed here because it was getting grim for us, but I hung in there for a while. Like there were reasons to hope, like Assassin's Trophy to maybe unlock one ring right there, for example. But we knew they had Snapcaster counter. The reason I'm holding on at this point is because we have Otawara, which is probably our most potent thing to use against them because we can channel it to bounce a number of different targets, and basically they'd have to have a stifle effect to stop it, and so their counter spells won't work with an Otawara channel. So the problem is though is they have so much redundancy, and now their engines are online. They got Field of the Dead, they got Snapcaster with a million options, and Memory Lapse doesn't even do anything here because of Teferi. We can't play at instant speed, so our counter spells are absolutely useless. And so I hang in as long as I can, but realistically, like, it's already over here. I probably should have packed it in, but yeah, I was probably overly optimistic. Not only that, but I just sort of wanted to see what their deck did, because like I said, I was very intrigued by this strategy. I mean, just putting in like a couple of Triomes plus fetches enables the power of Leyline Binding. So I really like this style of control. I think I might try and build it once I get enough fetches. So I'm really gonna go for it here. I'm gonna get rid of Teferi Time Raveler, but we didn't have the Tainted Pact anyway, and the opponent had infinite counters, so yeah. So all of our efforts are in vain, and we pack it in. So, but that was a fun match, and just a good strategy to learn how to play against. So, red-blue land from the opponent, Dragon's Rage Channeler. I think this could be another popular strategy, considering Timeless is sort of like Legacy on Arena. Dragon's Rage Channelers, basically playing like Legacy Delver and having a few low-cost, powerful threats that you back up with protection and interaction. So just like a tempo game. Brainstorm from the opponent. Thought about Spell Period, no, like figured better save it for like an actual threat. Like Brainstorm didn't seem that potent to us right now. Opponent shocks on land, plays Dragon's Rage Channeler, passes. Alright, so we have options here. So Channeler only has 2 of the cards for Delirium right now, so I'm checking right now to make sure, because I want to march it on our turn. There's an argument for doing it on their turn, but I want to march it right now because they don't have all the card types they need, and I don't anticipate being able to get blown out with like instant speed Delirium from here. Though that's why I was hesitating, is like I was trying to think what could they do. But this is one way, is like spiking a couple good surveils. Alright, and so they actually do hit a sorcery right there. Now if they have another spell and bin like a Mishra's Bauble, then we're in trouble because it's like a massive blowout. But it's just a Lorien revealed cycle, so that's just adding another sorcery to the bin, and Dragon's Rage Channeler bites the dust. So that got a little dicey for a second, and then hello, Blood Moon on the stack. We're definitely spell piercing that. That probably would have ended the game immediately due to our like really rough singleton mana base. Like we only have 1 of each basic. Like we couldn't even actually execute our combo under a Blood Moon. We'd have to find like a like an Otawara to unlock us or something like that. So that would have been really grim, but fortunately we were able to spell pierce the Blood Moon and slam Jace. We're gonna go ahead and mill ourselves because we have some graveyard things we can do. And we hit a land. That's unfortunate. We want some action. My opponent plays a land and passes. Once Upon a Time is at least something, so we're gonna go ahead and plus Jace again, see if we can find anything. And we bin 2 threats and find a land. So that was rough. We would have loved either the One Ring or Oko right there. We're gonna hold up Once Upon a Time at instant speed. Alright, so here comes a full power Dragon's Rage Channeler. Awesome card in this format. Alright, end step, we're gonna fire off Once Upon a Time. There's probably nothing useful we can get. It can only grab lands or creatures, so we only have a handful of creatures in here anyway, so most of the time it's gonna be grabbing a land. Every once in a while I'll get us like a Thrass's Oracle or an Uro. We keep drawing more lands, but Duress is nice. It's gonna allow us to do a little hand attack here. We know they're gonna have some. Okay, so they go ahead and just counter it, and they're gonna get the Surveil. So we still get a card out of their hand, and we're happy to see a counterspell Bite the Dust. That's gonna make our life easier in the long run. All right, they top whatever card that is. Gonna go ahead and play the tap land. Keep our untap options for later turns potentially. All right, so Dragon's Rage Channeler attacks Jace. We're actually fairly close to a Jace ultimate, which could help us like really get back in this game. So we're definitely going to channel Otawara right here. And Otawara seems super good in this format because everyone's packing counter spells. I don't think there's that many like stifles flying around to deal with Otawara's effect. Tainted Pact, that's perfect. So I'm like super excited, like all right, we win the game right here. There's one big problem though. It's that there's still 2 copies of Thassa's Oracle on our deck. We haven't milled it, we haven't seen it yet. And so I don't realize that right away. And I try to go for it. So what I'm doing here is I want to use Fae of Wishes to grab Pact of Negation. I'm going to try and go for the win right here, but like I said, I'm neglecting to think about the 2 copies of Thassa's Oracle. So what I'm going to do is fire off Granted right here to get a second Pact of Negation to really lock them out. And basically I wanted to shut down all their interactions, so it's sort of performing that function anyway. So I just let it get countered, decide not to pact it right there. Pact of Negation. We have multiple packs, so I gotta be clear. So I fire off Tainted Pact, and you can see, once I see the first Thassa's Oracle, I realize like, oh no. So then the plan becomes to empty the library as much as possible for Jace to take over. Problem is, we hit the second one and we don't get any cards in hand. We do have 11 cards left in deck, so I think a better play would have been to get past one Thassa's Oracle and either wait till we hit a second Pact, or a way to deal with Dragon's Rage Channeler. So I think I did it basically the worst way possible. So we already Jace clears 3 cards every turn by himself to try and get for the 0 library win, but he's only at 3 loyalty here and he can't tank another hit, so opponent finds a Mishra's Bauble and Jace bites the dust. So this is the roller coaster of emotions right here, because I felt like I was going to win, fire off Tainted Pact, realized that I'm not going to win, and now Jace bites the dust and is like, well, what do we do now? Still drawing lands. Like, we have a little bit of interaction, but Dragon's Rage Channeler. Thankfully we have a Stern Scolding, so we can keep them down just to 1 threat at the moment. Luckily they didn't have a counter right there. Alright. Unearth. So I'm thinking like, what does this do? And I realized that we can actually unearth Fae of Wishes, and once it's in play, we can use its activated ability to return it to our hand and grab another Jace from our sideboard. So this is me checking the sideboard to make sure that plan works, because our library is running out really quickly. Like, just like 1 turn with the Jace can probably win us the game if we can slam it like next turn. So here's Unearth on Fae of Wishes right here. Opponent fires off Memory Lapse, and we have a lot of counterspell backup right here. So we're going to go ahead and use an Offer You Can't Refuse on the Memory Lapse. and waiting. Our opponent surveils, and it works. Now it's in play. So I'm not playing the land because we need to discard 2 cards to return Fae of Wishes to our hand. Now this is a misplay from the opponent right here. They should have waited until we returned it and then hit it with Unholy Heat. Instead they do it too early, and we're allowed to respond to it and save the Fae of Wishes, and opponent packs it in. Wow, Timeless has just been super fun, and this I think is a great strategy to try on in it. What I really like about this deck is that it's interesting both in deck building and in gameplay. Due to like our mostly singleton nature, like the gameplay is so varied and like how things turn out. Like we do try and pack it with redundancies, but still is very interesting. A lot of like interesting lines to work through as you puzzle through games. Also, I think this deck is good for people who have like a pretty robust like historic brawl collection, because it's like a singleton deck. You don't need to go all in on like crafting a ton of different things. So I think it's a good way to jump into the format. There are some vulnerabilities, like I think burn and aggro strategies will be pretty tough, but we can hold our own against control and other mid-range strategies, as you saw. Now, this is like a first draft of this deck. There's some changes I would make, having gotten some games under my belt. There's a lot to like. So for example, I only have 2 of the fetch lands. This color combination can host all 5 of the allied ones. I'm still drafting Khans of Tarkir, so I'm still trying to get the other ones through that means. But yeah, you'll probably want more fetch lands. Once you have more fetch lands, then you could probably play Brainstorm. Other cards that I'd consider in the main deck, Mishra's Bauble, that should probably be in there just to sort of decrease the deck size. I think Innocent Blood is really strong against the like Dragon's Rage Channelers and other stuff. Like just a really, really powerful card they should have put in there. Dig Through Time, I think you'd probably put one of Dig Through Time or Treasure Cruise in there. I don't know if you can support both, but just the handful of fetches it'll have possibly could be tweaked to handle both. I think Dig, since we're a combo deck, Dig actually might be better, even though it's double blue. That's up for debate though. And also Field of the Dead, we saw how strong it was for the control deck in that one matchup. I think it could be good for us in the long games, though it is risky. It has potential of slowing us down on combo turns, so it's something to watch out for. But this has just been super fun. I think this strategy is also viable in the other 3-color combos touching blue-black, Esper and Grixis, and I plan on trying to make decks for those strategies as well. I don't think you necessarily have to be in green. There's some other ways to approach this in those colors. But yeah, I also make videos for the Explorer format. I have some recent combo decks with another one with Thassa's Oracle. And yeah, so if you're interested, check those out. And yeah, let me know in the comments, what are you playing in Timeless? Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.